Okay, our last section is 1.8, and that is an introduction to solving equations. Okay, so we're going to start kind of solving basic equations here. So, we discussed expressions and like terms. So like terms have to have the same variable attached. So for example, if I had this, these would be considered like terms because they're both being multiplied by the same value. No matter what x is, it's going to be the same value. Okay? So I could combine those if I wanted to, right? I have 8 x's and 2 x's. I can say that there are 10 x's, and then I would just leave the unlike term alone. Okay. Even if I had something like this, okay, so I would consider these like terms because they have the same variables. They have to be identical. The number in front doesn't matter, but the variables must be the same. So I would consider those like terms, and I would be able to combine them. So I would have 7 plus 2 is 9 ABs. And then because the 4 only has an A attached to it, I cannot join it with the others. Okay, they would not be like terms. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to practice combining like terms here. Okay. So for example, this one, these both have x's attached to them. So that would be 3x plus 2x plus 7y. But these I can combine to make 5x, and then I keep the 7y. Okay. Try another. For example, if I had this. Okay. So notice that m does not have a value attached to it. When there's no coefficient, we would put a 1 there. And then I would say, oh, these here are like terms. So because it's subtraction, I would subtract them. So I've got 9 minus 1 is 8. Keep the m. And then the minus 8 can't be combined with anything because it does not have a variable attached to it. Okay. All right, let me give you a couple to try here. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and give these two a try. I would pause the video so that you can try doing it on your own. And then we'll start getting into some basic solving. Okay, so here I would say that these are like terms. So I've got a 2 plus a 3 makes 5AB. And then I just keep the 4A. Notice that I keep the addition between them. Over on D, I've got a 4Y and a 1Y. So those can join together, making it 5Y. And then here, I've got a 5x and a 1x, which can also join together, making it 6x. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we are going to get into some basic solving. Okay. So okay. So some basic solving. Would be me trying to figure out what value I can place to make my answer true. So if I had something like this, I am asking what number minus 3 will give me 10. Well, if you think about the reverse of that, okay, if I were to add 10 or add 3 to 10, it would give me that number. So if I add 3 to both sides, negative 3 minus 3 and plus 3 is 0. So I'm left with n on this side. And then I've got 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay. So now let's think about this. If I take my original equation, if I take 13 minus 3, do I get 10? Absolutely. So 13 had to be my answer. Okay, let's try another. If I have, say, x minus 100 equals 500. Okay, so think about it. What minus 100 gives you 500 as our answer? What value do you start with, subtract 100, and get 500 as the answer? So I can reverse this process and I can add 100, right? So minus 100 and plus 100 is 0, and so I'm left with x, and then 500 plus 100 is 600. Now is that true? Is 600, so if you substitute in for x, if you take your 600 that you just said is the answer and substitute in, if I subtract 100, will I get 500? Yep, yes I will. Okay, so this right here is just me checking my answer. Okay, let's try another. Okay, so let's see, what if I did 3 plus what number equals 10? Okay, so some of us can do this without math, but if I'm going to follow like basic principles of solving, I would try and get rid of a 3. So 3 plus a number equals 10. Okay, so 3 is technically positive, it's being added. So if I subtract 3 from both sides, here I get 0, and I'm left with n. 10 minus 3 is 7. And then you have to ask yourself, is that true? So if I substitute back in here, if I do 3 plus 7, do I get 10 as an answer? I sure do. So that number had to be 7. Okay, all right, let me give you a couple to try here. So let's see if I give you okay, so give those a try, see what you can come up with. Okay. Okay, so in this case, I would subtract 4, and I would get 8, which is true because 4 plus 8 is 12, so that works. Here I would add 3, and I would also get 8, and is that true? So 8 minus 3 is 5, so yep, that one works too. Okay, so both answers were 8. Alright, so let's try a couple with combining like terms and division. Okay, so what about if we had something like this? Okay. So we briefly talked about this, so I'm asking 6 divided by what number will give you 3? Okay, so remember I said that you could reverse this process when we were talking about dividing by 0. So you're asking 3 times what number equals 6? And the answer would be 2. So let's check. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Yep, that works. Okay. Try another one. Okay, how about this one? So now this one says, what number divided by 4 will give you 2? Okay, so think about what number divided by 4 will give us 2. Or you could reverse it and you could say 2 times 4 will give you what number? And the answer would be 8. So let's check. Is 8 divided by 4 equal to 2? Yes, it is. So then there's my answer. Alright, so last two that I want to do are involving combining like terms. So let's see, if I had something like this. So now I'm asking 5 plus what number plus 1 will get me 9. So if I were to simplify this and combine like terms, I know that 5 and 1 can go together. So I'll have 6, right? And now I'm asking what number plus 6 gives us 9. Okay, so it simplifies it a little bit, helps us out. I'm going to subtract 6. And I get 3. So if I think about it, 5 plus 3 plus 1, let's see, is that 9? Well, this gives me 8 and 9. So yep, that does work. Okay, so this is just me checking my answer to see if it works. Okay. What if I had something like this? So before I can solve for a variable, I need to combine my like terms. So this is technically a 1. So I have like terms here. So that makes 6n equals 18. Okay, so this one's a little bit different because now this is asking, this is asking 6 times what number will give me 18. So if we think about it, 6 times what number gives us 18, we could also use division, right? Opposite of multiplication, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So let's see if that's right. So 6 times 3, is that 18? Yep, absolutely. Okay. So you don't have to show this step, but sometimes like that is solving, so sometimes it is helpful. Okay, so for your homework in 1.8, I would suggest doing like 31 to 41 odds. I would also suggest 65 to 75 odds, and then 85 to 87, or sorry, 85 to 89 odds, okay? Okay, so that completes chapter 1. Make sure you study. You have your test next week on the 5th. So please make sure that you practice not only this, but the old material as well.